your questions, and of course our extra points.
What's up, First Take fam? Thank you so much for being with us on this Valentine's Day. A lot to get into, but just so you know, we will be in New Orleans for the NBA All-Star Game. Catch us live this Friday, February 17th. The location is the 4th floor of the Riverview Room on Decatur Street. We'll have special guests, John Wall, many more, and giveaways for you. Doors open 7:30 a.m. local, so come on down and pack the house. But here's what's going on today. Magic Johnson will be in studio to talk everything NBA. Are Charles Oakley and James Dolan close to a resolution? And what does that mean? Would you trade a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo and James Harden shooting hoops? With our very own Stephen A. Smith. The First Take Pod starts right now. Good morning and happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I'm Molly Karam. And can I just let the gentlemen out there know, we do care. We might say we don't want anything. We care. Come through. It's my best advice. You ready to do this, gentlemen?
Yes. Let's move on to sports.
Okay, coming up, the one and only Magic Johnson will be right here in studio. How would he bring back the glory days of the Lakers? We'll ask him that. And you do not want to miss Stephen A. and James Harden going one-on-one. It's today, folks. It's later in the show. Please, I can't wait. Yes.
I forgot all about it.
You should have seen him in Houston, by the way.
Extra butter salt.
Could y'all please turn the channel? Do not watch me with James Harden. Please.
This has been like your nightmare for a week now.
I forgot all about it. I forgot that was today because Magic is in the air. I forgot that.
Yeah, that too. It's going to be good. Let's do it.
James Harden.
Let's get you guys up to speed on the latest with the Knicks. So Stephen A. was working the phones quite a bit yesterday and has some interesting developments that he will share with you here first. Charles Oakley remains banned indefinitely from Madison Square Garden. But there has been some momentum toward a resolution between Oakley and Knicks owner James Dolan. Here's part of a statement that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver issued regarding this disheartening situation. In an effort to find a path toward New York Knicks owner Jim Dolan, Charles Oakley and I met today at the league office along with Michael Jordan, who participated by phone. Both Mr. Oakley and Mr. Dolan were apologetic about the incident and subsequent comments and their negative impact on the Knicks organization and the NBA. Mr. Dolan expressed his hope that Mr. Oakley would return to MSG as his guest in the near future. Stephen A., what is going on here?
Well, Adam Silver and Michael Jordan basically, I mean, you can call it an intervention if you want to, but James Dolan, Charles Oakley, and Adam Silver met at the league office. Michael Jordan was on the phone. There were no lawyers involved. Michael Jordan spoke up on behalf of Charles Oakley, just trying to remedy the situation for what I've been told. And essentially what it comes down to is this. You want to do everything you can to avoid it becoming a legal matter. Oakley had intimated that he wanted to have a press conference, that he was entertaining legal action because of the things that were said about him, which he obviously feels, and adamantly so, is false. Michael Jordan confirmed that. According to my sources, he said he is not an alcoholic. He's a social drinker, just like a lot of us are. And so he made that clear to James Dolan. At the same time, James Dolan had some credence with his argument because they do have a video that we haven't seen, a video that is a little bit more incriminating than what Oakley would have led us to believe.
This video is about Oakley's behavior leading up to security getting him?
Correct. And so as a result, if it were to turn into a legal matter, it may not be as cut and dry as Oakley would have us believe. In any event, James Dolan made it very clear, according to my sources, that he doesn't want to, move forward with any kind of legal action or whatever the case may be. Security, who Oakley was seen putting his hands on in the videos that we've all seen, James Dolan is willing to make sure that gets squashed as well. And his whole thing is that, listen, I don't know Charles Oakley. They've never even met. They never had a conversation ever before yesterday. And so Dolan's whole thing is that I'm the owner of the New York Knicks, and the only time I hear anything about you or from you is when you're going off about me in the papers and in the press. Oakley wants to be a part of the Knicks family. He would like to be a part of that inner circle that Dolan ultimately takes care of. And Dolan's mindset is that that's something that could potentially be worked out. But, you can't turn around and do that and then turn around and you're in the papers insulting me. And so as a result, no definitive resolution was reached. But Michael Jordan, in concert with Commissioner Adam Silver, were all about moving forward. Dolan is about moving forward. Charles Oakley, who I spoke to last night, was not about that completely. His whole thing is that he needed a few days to process it because he's still stung by the fact that he was called an alcoholic, which he adamantly and emphatically swears is not true. He's sensitive to the fact that family members, including his mother, were highly upset with what Dolan had to say. And his whole thing is, it's one thing for us to do things in private. It's another thing entirely to do it publicly. Not to mention the fact that when you've got Sprewell and Larry Johnson and about 11 to 12 other dudes that all show up at the Garden conveniently this past Sunday, you're trying to give the impression that you don't have a problem with anybody. And Oakley's mentality is, well, then why do you have a problem with me? Why am I going through this nonsense? And so that's where they are right now. But they are moving forward. They're not trying to move back. It's just that Oakley has not been as forward-thinking in this process as they would like him.
Real quick, Stephen A. and Max, before we want you to weigh in. This potentially incriminating video, so this will not see the light of day unless legal matters are pursued.
Well, I don't know if it's extreme per se, but the video itself does give credence to the argument that Dolan and them was making, that Oakley didn't come in there like a quiet mouse, you know, and did absolutely nothing before it happens. No, it will not be made public to my knowledge.
James Dolan would have us believe that he was trying to essentially stage an intervention for Charles Oakley, who he publicly questioned, as I don't think any owner of a business should do about a former beloved employee, publicly questioned his mental health and substance issue existence, or questioned the existence of a substance issue. That apparently it doesn't exist. So he acted as though he'd have us all believe that he was staging an intervention for Charles Oakley. What's actually happened here, according to your reporting, Stephen A., here on First Take, is that the NBA has staged an intervention for James Dolan. That's really, like, whatever Dolan's saying, he said, she said, the whole thing, the existence of a video, Dolan doesn't want it to go to court, she wants to move forward and everything, etc. Let's look at the big picture, what's actually happening. Hey, I'm basically staging an intervention for this guy. The league steps in and says, no, we're staging an intervention for you. This is a bad look for the league. It's a terrible look for the New York Knicks.
That's a great point.
Is it a good look for Charles Oakley? No. He's scrapping with security. There are 5 or 6 guys around him. All that kind of, he gets arrested afterwards. None of that stuff looks good for Oakley. But it looks so much worse for the team and therefore the league that people everywhere, Dan Le Batard was on SportsCenter right before us this morning. I'm with Oakley. I mean, the overwhelming sentiment around basketball and around the sports world is Oakley got done wrong by an organization and an owner, especially, that's power crazy and out of control.
True. But here's where Oakley has to be careful. Dolan did throw out an olive branch. Dolan is open to Oakley coming back to Madison Square Garden. Dolan is open to ingratiating himself with Oakley a bit further so Oakley can feel the way that he wants to feel. Because Dolan acknowledges that, because Dolan has said so in front of while Michael Jordan was on the phone in front of Commissioner Adam Silver, and Commissioner Adam Silver and Michael Jordan were witnesses to this conversation. You don't then turn around, if you're Charles Oakley, and say, damn all that, blah, 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 blah. Because then now Dolan could wash his hands of everything and he would be justified. So even though at times Dolan doesn't come across as the brightest candle on the birthday cake, let's be clear, at the same time, he is being smart about this.
And Oakley does, look, it's not a stretch for people to imagine, hey, if you never met Charles Oakley, you think he might be a stubborn dude? You ever watch him play basketball? Yes. See 5 bodies around him? He was the one who came out with a loose ball. Of course, you have to have a certain amount of hard-headedness, metaphor, not just literally to get that ball. But it's interesting you bring up Oakley's desire to be a part of the organization and maybe feeling shunned led to his public critique of Dolan. Sure, that may exist. And a thing I don't like about what Dolan's doing is if he is seen as magnanimous, simply because he's in a position of power, he will welcome Oakley so long as there's no criticism of him or the organization. That seems like a fair barter in terms of the truth of the matter, but in terms of the way people are conducting themselves, you feel like telling Dolan, yeah, dude, you have the power so you can insist on that, but
right.
All you're really bartering is access in exchange for no criticism.
But listen, I spoke to Oakley. I've known Oakley for 20 years, and I got a lot of love for Charles Oakley. But let's be clear, in fairness to James Dolan in this particular instance, the fans can feel any way they want to. Oakley is different. Oakley is a former player. Now, if you just want an apology and you want to move on with your life, that's one thing. But Oakley, at least through reports, has given the impression that he wants more than that. Oakley I even get taken aback when I hear Charles Oakley say, I don't understand why the guy doesn't like me. I just want to figure out why, blah, blah, blah. That's not the Charles Oakley I know. The Charles Oakley I know could give 2 cents how you feel about him. You could go kick rocks. So why do you care? Chances are you care because in some capacity you want to be employed by this man. Now, he hasn't openly admitted that, because I have asked, and he hasn't openly admitted that. There's no question in my mind, however, that that's what he wants. You want to sit up there, and because he's taking care of other players who are less storied in Nick lore than you are. So if they're getting a paycheck from the billionaire, why can't Charles Oakley get a paycheck from the billionaire? And if that's what your mentality is, I'm assuming, I don't know, but if that's what Charles Oakley's mentality is, Max, then the question does beg, it's one thing for the fans to be insulting to James Dolan, but James Dolan is under no obligation to pay people who are going to then turn around and insult him. That's just not smart.
That is true, but
that's what Charles Oakley has to remember.
I want to contextualize that a little bit, though, because I had lunch with a Knicks legend one day. I won't mention his name here. On the day of the decision, where LeBron went to Miami, and everyone in New York was very upset about it.
Yep.
And this legend was talking about the fact that the Knicks don't trade on their past, specifically those 2 championship teams from the late 60s, early 70s. And my point was, look, Bill Bradley ran for president. Everyone went on to do these big, great things. Maybe the Knicks feel everyone's too busy or intimidated. Who knows? And they said, no, we've all let them know. We want to come back. Trade on your history. Make us a part of this thing. And at the time, the Knicks simply didn't seem interested. So that's the kind of the broader context of this organization, which has not done a very good job, although Dolan personally has done well by certain players in terms of employment and loyalty to those players. But the overall kind of overarching story of the Knicks as it relates to their past is they don't seem to embrace it very much.
They don't seem to embrace it too much, but then in fairness to the New York Knicks, how many organizations employ as many former players as the New York Knicks do? I don't know the answer to that question, but the Knicks have dared me to find out. So obviously they're very confident that in comparison to their contemporaries, that they do right by their former employees, more so than they're given credit for and more so than other organizations. If that is true, then you're Oakley. You have to think about that when it comes to talking about Knicks in the future.
So let's pretend Oakley and Dolan resolve their issues. They put this behind them in the rearview mirror and there's a resolution. Where does this now leave Phil Jackson, where all the drama was starting with his organization of late?
It leads Phil Jackson back to where he belonged all along, at the forefront of this mess.
In the doghouse.
Because Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan coming to the rescue again, some would presume, because him getting involved and calming things down, folks will sit there and say, okay, this is another Knick mess that's been quelled, so Phil Jackson benefits. No, he does not, because we've been focused on James Dolan because of Charles Oakley. Prior to that, our focus was right where it belonged, on Phil Jackson and how he's running this New York Knicks organization, which is atrociously. As president of basketball operations, you got Kristaps Porzingis. That's the only thing he appears to have done right. Hiring a novice in Coach Derek Fisher, then Kurt Rambis, and then out of nowhere, Jeff Hornacek. Not a bad coach, not awful, but certainly not a difference maker. And for the second time in his head coaching career, because he's only had 2 head coaching jobs, he's in a situation where people are questioning the efforts of his team because guys don't seem to be that interested in playing for Jeff Hornacek. And so you have that. Then you have how the team is bereft of talent because, again, there's Melo, there's Porzingis, but there's an aging Derrick Rose, and Joakim Noah just looks done. And Courtney Lee is the epitome of average. He's good, solid, but average. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and then you take into account the fact that superstars, marquee dudes, aren't thinking about coming to New York City, that Phil Jackson, the 11-time champion, can't even get Deuce to sit down for dinner with him, then to me, all of this Oakley stuff was a distraction from what really we needed to be focused on. And now that it seems like it's moving forward and it's on the verge of being resolved, we get to go right back to where we all belong when it comes to the New York Knicks. And that is Phil Jackson. What the hell are you doing? That's where we should be.
I'll take it a step further. Usually these things do distract from the coach or the executive who's under fire because they're underperforming, because they're failing at their job. Usually, oh, good, a controversy. Let the tail wag the dog for a minute. No one's thinking about me. In this case, it actually, Stephen A., makes it worse. It makes it worse because what's the number one theme in all the dysfunction on the Knicks right now? How is Phil Jackson messing it up? He is humiliating Carmelo Anthony apparently on the way out the door. Phil Jackson, I think, is correctly seen as the bad guy here. And he's doing Carmelo dirty, planting stories, it seems, sending out tweets to then cover up the fact that
it doesn't seem. He sent out tweets,
sure.
A statement. Yes,
sure.
It is.
And so what's the theme here? It's the powerful executive, or in this case the owner, James Dolan, doing Charles Oakley dirty, a guy that just gave his heart and soul to the team. And what does that focus everyone on after that? That's in the midst of the head of basketball operations, Phil Jackson, doing their best player and a guy, I don't love him on the defensive end, et cetera, all that stuff, but a guy who's really given the franchise what he has. He's put in an honest effort since he got to New York and has embraced the whole thing. And Phil is doing him dirty in a similar way in terms of the way it makes the fans feel to the way that Dolan is doing Oakley dirty. Dolan and Oakley has intensified the spotlight on Phil because it just seems like dysfunction and abuse of players.
It intensified it, but that's now. While it was going on over the last week, Phil actually got a reprieve because the momentum was building towards Phil Jackson as it should have been.
Under the radar.
I mean, listen, when you've got Spike Lee literally on the ticker, at Good Morning America Studios in New York City, running around the building, and it says Spike Lee about Phil Jackson, I'll pack his bag for him. When you've got that going on, you have a problem, and that cannot be escaped. And I just think it's one of those situations, which is why I can't wait for Magic Johnson to come on the show today, because Phil Jackson has really dropped the ball. And guess what? We can't question his basketball acumen. We can't question his knowledge. What you can't question about Phil since he has taken over the New York Knicks, I really think it's a sincere dereliction of duty. I don't think that he's put in the work necessary in order to be elite at what he does as an executive the way he did as a coach.
If Oakley and Dolan resolve their situation, does it help Phil Jackson? No. What helps Phil Jackson is one thing. He can still help himself in terms of his legacy as an executive, and he doesn't have to win a championship. If he starts to do his job and builds a foundation around Kristaps Porzingis for the future that eventually does something, people can trace the roots of the eventual success back to the moves Phil Jackson makes from here before he gets out of here, because it doesn't seem like he's going to serve out this entire contract. He will have done something to restore some of the legacy and take off some of the tarnish that is now on his legacy, certainly as a basketball executive.
Yeah.
First Take is on the road at the NBA All-Star Game. Catch us live in New Orleans Friday, February 17th. We're on the 4th floor of the Riverview Room located at 600 Decatur. John Wall, many more will join the desk. Doors open 7:30 a.m. local, so come on down and pack the house. Meanwhile, NFL quarterbacks are not exactly growing on trees, which is why so many people think Patriots backup Jimmy Garoppolo could be very tempting trade bait for teams in need of a QB this season. Jimmy G looked impressive in his 2 starts this season before suffering a shoulder injury, which sidelined him for the rest of Tom Brady's 4-game suspension. Here's ESPN Chicago's Tom Waddle on his trade value.
if you're sold on Jimmy, all of your football intelligence tells you as a general manager that Jimmy is the answer to your quarterback situation for the next 7 to 10 years. To me, there's no price that's too steep to pay. And if the commissioner stepped in today and said, because the Patriots are so darn good, we're going to make Jimmy Garoppolo available in this year's draft to all 32 teams, where do you guys believe Jimmy would be picked?
Oh, I think he'd go number one.
Yeah, I think
Cleveland would take him.
Easily top 3. So my premise was that if he's there at 3 and he's a top 3 player, why wouldn't you be willing to give the 3rd pick of the draft?
Stephen A., what do you think? Jimmy G worth a first-round pick?
Hell no. Absolutely not. And I don't give a damn what anybody says. I mean, he only played in 2 games.
Even if you're a team with no quarterback.
Listen. I would give the farm if you told me, look, man, it's him or Jay Cutler. If you told me that, okay, I'd give the farm.
How does your mind go there?
But outside, because that's where it goes. And listen, that's about it. Outside of that, I'm not giving him that kind of love. And I'm not saying Jimmy Garoppolo cannot play. He's 25 years of age. We saw him in 2 games this year, particularly the opener against Arizona. He was very impressive. I give him a lot of credit for that. But in the end, it's 2 games. All right, this guy he's played in 17 games. He's thrown a grand total of 94 passes. That's it. And in 3 years. And I am supposed to turn around and give up a first-round pick for him? I don't want to hear that. Now, I heard Greeny Max this morning talking to Golick saying, well, you know what? If he were available right now in the draft, where would he go? Well, that's because you've seen him in a couple of games against NFL competitions, whereas a collegiate dude hasn't had to go against that competition as of yet. But he was playing with Bill Belichick. He was playing with the well-oiled machine that is the New England Patriots. That's not going to exist anywhere else, which has been proven. And as a result, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. And I swear, you better say Garoppolo. I don't want to hear no Jimmy G.
Why are you mad about Jimmy G?
Because he hasn't earned a nickname. His name is Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's more proven than these draft picks we're talking about.
What do you call him?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G.
Look,
please.
You're wrong, and you're being quite illogical, Steve.
Logical. All right, Spot Kellerman.
That's what I was waiting for.
Take it away.
Now, look, if you don't want to make the trade for a first-round pick, it's only because you're dealing with Bill Belichick. So you say if Belichick's willing to trade him, then he must not be worth what you're trading him for because he's the smartest GM. Fine. That's a good argument. But it fails this test. Belichick thought he was good enough to draft in the 2nd round. So it's a guy who Belichick thought that's worth a 2nd-round pick. And now
You're right.
He
was in the 2nd round.
He's a 2nd rounder. By the Patriots, he's a 2nd rounder. And now Belichick is saying, and it's not just that I think he's a 2nd rounder. He has some evidence. You're right, not a ton of games. 2 games. He won them both. One against a Super Bowl favorite to start the season. But he has some evidence that the guy can play on the NFL level. Now, there was a not perfectly similar, but pretty similar situation. A guy who certain GM thought, yup, that's the guy, 25 years ago Saturday, was also taken in the 2nd round. And the GM who'd missed him said, you know what? If I had a first-round pick, I'd have drafted him in the 1st round. And so he traded a first-rounder for Brett Favre. How'd that turn out? Now, Garoppolo was injured in his 3rd game. Favre has the consecutive games played streak, and the odds that anyone becomes Brett Favre are remote. But the point is, it's not unprecedented that a guy who's picked in the 2nd round improves his stock as a pro to the point, especially by a GM or a scout who has a real affinity for him, who believes he sees something, that he can go in the 1st. Belichick thought he was worth it. Do we think that Belichick doesn't get value in the draft?
Bill Parcells was a part of that pick also.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, he gets value in the draft. The Patriots are so excellent partly because Belichick gets value in the draft. He spent a 2nd rounder for him. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to give you the 1st overall pick for him, but somewhere in the 1st round, absolutely. absolutely I would
listen,
do that.
The first round picks may not be as valuable as they used to be outside of the top 5 or top 10. And I guess that's a different discussion that we can have. But I guess what I'm looking at Jimmy Garoppolo, his first year in the NFL, he threw 17 passes. Last year, he threw 4 passes. Take away the 2 games in which he threw 33 passes against Arizona and another 26 against Miami. By the way, 2 highly suspect defenses at that portion of the season this year, which we all learned. We watched Miami grow, but they were struggling at the beginning. We watched Arizona struggle all year. Take away those 2 games, he's thrown just 4 passes since. All I'm saying is when I look at Jimmy Garoppolo, when we talk about a first-round pick, I'm just hesitant to do that because I think what we're saying is the value is low and the first-round pick is not as significant. That's an entirely different argument than saying, excuse me, he deserves the same level of cachet a first-rounder, a potentially top 10 pick would be coming into an NFL draft with. I haven't seen that. 2 games doesn't tell me that. And the fact that he plays for Bill Belichick counts against him for me, not for him. Because Belichick is brilliant, he's a genius, and he's a master at picking dudes that are tailor-made for his system that fall off a cliff, to use your analogy, when they go anywhere else. I am not. So the matter of fact, because it's Bill Belichick, I'm even more suspect.
Do you think that Brady's going to fall off a cliff?
Garoppolo, of course not.
Okay, well, maybe Belichick doesn't either. Maybe Belichick agrees with you and not me, and that's why Garoppolo's available in the first place. Maybe it's not that he looks at Garoppolo and says, no, he's not the quarterback of the future, but that he believes that the immediate future includes Tom Brady and he can't afford to pay 2 guys. That's 1. 2. Look at the quarterbacks available if you need a quarterback, because the market somewhat determines your value. Not only was Garoppolo picked in the second round, and I think we'd all agree he's increased his value since then, so at least a high second-round pick. Already we're in first-round territory. So it's not only that, but who are the quarterbacks available? A very expensive Kirk Cousins, who may not be better than average. A very expensive in terms of potentially what it may cost you, not to mention the money you have to pay him, Tony Romo, who can't stay healthy, and Jay Cutler, your favorite quarterback. So when you look at what's available,
I am offended and opposed to the word available that you would use for Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler is never available. It just seems that way.
You know what I want to add to that list of what you just brought up? In most mock drafts, we're seeing Mitch Trubisky and Deshaun Watson higher than potentially.
Well, they have a resume.
Yes.
They have a resume.
Yes, but is their resume, you're going to say that Deshaun Watson's resume is more impressive than Jimmy Garoppolo. You would take those 2 quarterbacks ahead of Jimmy. No. I'm answering your question as to who has the more impressive resume. I think Deshaun Watson and what he did in his collegiate career, particularly on the big stage in the last 2 national championship games, is a better resume than 2 NFL games by Jimmy Garoppolo. But if Big Ben retires right now and you have the choice of those 3 guys, who would you want this year?
Deshaun Watson.
It's a shame that Tom Brady had to drag down the team's winning percentage. Garoppolo went undefeated in 2 games. Garoppolo's good. Like, sometimes you can see this with Carson Wentz. You can see it with, obviously, Dak Prescott. And you do need a bigger body of work, of course, especially when you're in the Patriot system. They make everyone look good, it seems. But sometimes you get a sense that guy can play or he can't play. What's your sense of Garoppolo? Can he play?
My sense is that he can play.
Me too.
Me too.
But I had.
But would you take Watson?
I had the same sense about Matt Castle.
Would you take
Would
Watson
I take
ahead of him?
Watson over Garoppolo? Yes. Yes, because I saw Watson make play after play with the money on the line on a huge stage.
Not NFL defenses.
That's right. I'm taking a leap of faith with Watson. I'm valuing leadership and big playability under pressure.
Max Kellerman and Molly Wood. I thought Alabama had an NFL-type defense.
You're right. It's close.
That's what we talked about. That's what we talked about. And we're talking about a man, Deshaun Watson, that threw for like 898 yards in 2 games against them, that accumulated over 1,000 yards in 2 games against them. Excuse me, the brother is 32-2 in his collegiate career, and a dude that played at Eastern Illinois
so you're going Watson.
goes in 2 games. I already said Watson.
And he was the best player in the national title game 2 consecutive
I'm just
years.
saying, we just gonna sit up there and say, well, Jimmy Garoppolo, because you showed up against Arizona and Miami in the first 2 weeks of an NFL season, that's going to shove aside.
Watson wouldn't get swallowed up in Cleveland?
Excuse me?
Watson
wait a
get
minute.
swallowed up
That's
in
not the
Cleveland?
right question.
What?
You know what the right question is?
What
would Deshaun Watson do in New England with Belichick? That's the right question.
But let's talk Cleveland.
If you like Deshaun Watson, if you like him, and I'm one of the people who do, you are placing belief in a kind of college player that sometimes isn't quite as good in the pros. you're placing belief in his leadership abilities and what you saw him do under pressure over what a lot of the scouts are saying. I'm one of those people, but not everyone does.
Let me be very, very clear about my position. I am in no way questioning the abilities and the potential upside of Jimmy Garoppolo based on what we saw. What I am saying is you're not going to tell me that 2 games for Bill Belichick outweighs a collegiate career by a Deshaun Watson. It does not.
Did Belichick get value in the draft in the second round when he took Garoppolo?
Sure.
So you're already admitting he's at least a high second round pick, at least.
No, what I'm saying to you is that remember what I prefaced by saying. Bill Belichick is a genius. He's a master at picking guys that are tailor-made for him. Where they would do what they would do elsewhere remains to be seen, and there is a history of that as well.
Okay, let me ask you this.
People who depart from New England, when they go elsewhere, they're relatively average.
You're the owner of a team.
But they're great for the Patriots.
You're the owner of a team.
Yes.
I understand trepidation about dealing with Bill Belichick. My assumption is whoever I have in place, he's probably smarter, and he'll probably get the better of a deal. However, you're the owner of a team, and you have the people you have in place. Your football people, right? You're not Jerry Jones who's going to override them because you have a feeling. You got your football people in place. And your most trusted guy comes to you and says, see that guy, Garoppolo? That is our quarterback. That's the guy. I believe in him. As the owner of a team, you wouldn't okay a trade of a first-rounder for a guy that your top football people are telling you or person is telling you, he's our future.
I'm telling you right now, I would be highly reluctant to do it. I'm being real with you. And I'm being very, very sincere about Deshaun Watson, particularly the way the NFL game is played today. Garoppolo, and this is not an insult, it's a compliment to him, but it's sort of like a Tom Brady wannabe. You know, he can stand back in the pocket, he can fling the football, it appears, etc. But does he have the wheels? Is he the dual threat that a Deshaun Watson is? Did we get that from him? No, we did not. So I'm saying to you, when we look at a first round pick or whatever, I'm thinking about a guy the quality of a Deshaun Watson, who I believe away from New England is going to make some noise, whereas I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a product of New England.
Nothing I love more than the NFL draft. We're 2 months away. Be interesting to see how it all plays out. But we are going to go back to the association when First Take returns. It's been a while since the Lake Show has performed in L.A. So how will Magic Johnson fix the struggling franchise? Find out when he joins the desk in just a bit. And are we closer to seeing McGregor stepping into the boxing ring to face the undefeated Floyd Mayweather? Don't miss that conversation coming up next.
Dana White, the UFC, let's make it happen. Bring him over to the boxing world, and I'll show him what it's like.
I'm Andy Katz from ESPN, along with my co-host Rick Klein of ABC News. In the latest edition of Capital Games, we're going to be joined by Governor Dana Malloy of Connecticut to discuss whether or not rehabbing the XL Center in Hartford can lure an NHL franchise.
We have a big college hoops doubleheader tonight at 7. Tennessee takes on Kentucky. Then Ohio State faces Michigan State. The crossover, it's back. Wednesday night on ESPN and ESPN2, we have our college announcers jump to the NBA, and the NBA guys go back to college. It's a lot of fun. It all starts at 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. And how about this? Michael Smith and Jamel Hill want you to join them weeknights for the new 6 o'clock Sports Center. They're bringing their own brand of style, personality, flavor. The 6 also streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. Listen here, folks. Over a month ago, Floyd Mayweather joined us right here in Bristol, CT, and said he is ready to fight Conor McGregor and that the dollars just don't make sense right now.
They know what my number is. My number was a guaranteed $100 million. That was my number. He hasn't even made $10 million in an MMA bout. But we are willing to give him $15 million. Conor McGregor keep telling everybody he wants to fight. Let's make it happen.
Now it gets interesting. It appears we could be getting closer to seeing this megastar matchup come to fruition. An unconfirmed report from the Irish Sun said McGregor and Mayweather have agreed to terms and the fight could be announced within 2 weeks. Stephen A. Smith, you talked to Floyd recently. You know how excited I am about this. Do you see this fight happening?
Yes, I do. Floyd Money Mayweather Max was at the OKC Warriors game Saturday night, and we spoke for a few minutes. It's not finalized. There are details to be worked out. He did not confirm that a deal had been done as of yet. But as you know, I've known Floyd for years, and he had a smile on his face, and he says, we're getting there. We're getting very, very close. And he believes that he has the potential to make even more money than he made fighting Pacquiao.
He needs it.
He doesn't need it at all. He doesn't need it at all. But Floyd is all about business. His whole thing is that it has to be the right deal business-wise. It has to be worth his time. And if he believes that McGregor has the potential to make that happen, because McGregor can market himself. And one of the things, Max, that you'll appreciate this, Floyd usually has to market his fights. Because the guys that he fought against, he had to do all the promoting and the talking. He won't have to do that with McGregor, and he knows it. So that part of it has him excited from a business perspective. Again, I want to make sure that everybody understands he did not confirm that it's done. He said it's close. He thinks it's going to happen. But his words are, it's never happening until it's officially happening. And from that point, Max, the floor is yours.
Floyd Mayweather calls himself TBE, the best ever, and told me before the Pacquiao fight and others, I don't even mean in the ring. Someone else can have that. I'm talking about the fight game. I play that game better than anyone ever. He's right. He's not only one of the greatest pure boxers ever, who never took a night off. Floyd doesn't have. Well, maybe McGregor can get him. Floyd will have an off night. Floyd doesn't have off nights. Floyd takes care of himself in a way very few fighters have ever done it.
Looked real hard and strong.
And he's
when I saw
prepared
Saturday night
to do his thing against every opponent. Even other fighters who I have ahead of him on a pound-for-pound list all time, but they had nights where maybe they weren't prepared for that. Floyd's prepared every single time. So McGregor has very little chance. So why is this fight maybe going to happen? Because, as you said, he's a businessman. Floyd cares about business. And to play the fight game the best ever, great defensive fighter, not taking a lot of shots. Long career, maximize reward, minimize risk. That's why some people are mad at him sometimes. Look at this. That's not the best fight he can take. And he turns around and says, yeah, but if I could fight this guy for the same money as that guy who's twice as hard, why would I fight that guy? Unless I'm getting more money. And he's right. So McGregor represents a 0% chance to beat Floyd in a boxing ring. Floyd's got no shot in an octagon. Mayweather's got zero shot.
Come on,
McGregor.
1% chance.
No, none.
Nothing?
No, I suppose if Floyd breaks both hands on
He's the bigger
McGregor's
guy.
head. No.
He's got a big left hand he believes in.
Molly, it's the typical situation where people look at boxers and think they're just throwing hands and that's all they're doing. Floyd is operating on the highest possible level you can in boxing, and compared to him, McGregor is a novice just with his hand. Just like Floyd wouldn't stand a chance in the octagon.
Would it even be a fight?
Floyd will dance on him and give people a show for their money for a little while, and then he will stop McGregor as he pleases. Just as McGregor would stop Floyd as he pleases in an octagon. So then the question is, why is it taking place in a ring? Because one of the ways Floyd has played the fight game better than anyone ever is he and his advisor, Al Heyman, have leveraged Floyd's accomplishments in the ring and at the box office to make sure that he is essentially the lead promoter in any show. And since Floyd is bringing the money and he's the lead promoter, it'll be in the ring. Well, people say, but UFC is so popular. Why would Conor McGregor agree to that? He's a big draw because one of the reasons the UFC is so popular is, unlike boxing, Dana White and the UFC have controlled labor costs, meaning McGregor can only make so much in the octagon. He can't make limitless money, so this will represent his biggest payday, and for Floyd it represents a controlled cost for his opponent that won't be nearly as high as, say, Pacquiao.
Let me say this. Floyd believes he can make more money because of the promotion that Conor will bring it as much as himself and the international appeal. Also, Floyd believes, even though he's going to give it to him, like you said, and I believe that as well, you got to remember that Conor McGregor is a knockout artist. Conor McGregor knows Conor McGregor cannot box with Floyd. He's not stupid. What Conor McGregor is cocky enough to believe is, I just have to catch him. That's literally what he believes. Floyd, what makes it appealing is Floyd hasn't been a knockout artist in the latter part of his career. Other than Ricky Hatton, who has he knocked out in the last 8-9 years or so?
Victor Ortiz.
Well, you know how that happened. I mean, listen, Victor Ortiz deserved what he got, mind you, because he headbutted him.
But he was looking at the ref.
Yeah, exactly. He was looking at the ref. You know how that is controversy. I'm simply saying that to say because of Floyd being devoid of one-punch knockout artistry, combined with Conor McGregor having that, to those who are not aficionados, like the Max Kellermans of the world, or the semi-aficionados like
I've seen you on boxing. I love talking. I love chopping up the fight game with Stephen A. Smith.
You're the one who helped me with that, by the way. You're the one that did that for me. I wouldn't have been able to do that the Pacquiao fight without you. But it is true. But here's the deal. Knowing that, that's where the appeal elevates. See, with Pacquiao and Floyd, Pacquiao, speed, great boxer, and wanted Floyd bad, and people hated Floyd. In the case of McGregor, well, you dislike both of them. But the difference is that McGregor comes and he backs up what he says. And you know he's going to talk against Floyd.
And he's got nothing to lose.
He's got nothing to lose.
And everything to gain.
You know who has a good chin in boxing? Oh, he has a good chin, takes a good punch. The guys who don't get hit on the chin.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and believe me, Floyd will tag McGregor wherever he pleases as often as he likes.
Can this just please happen, and can we please go?
By the way, different subject, different news. Just got word from the New York Knicks. Just text me right now. That whole Oakley banishment from Madison Square Garden is over. He can go back to NBA anytime he wants.
Good. Love that. Progress in the right direction. We want you guys to weigh in on this discussion. Would a Mayweather fight against McGregor be bigger than Mayweather's fight against Pacquiao? Go on Twitter now and vote. Make your voice heard. And coming up, we are getting close to Stephen A's one-on-one convo with James Harden. He is a pro at the debate desk, but how will Stephen A handle being on the court with one of the world's best?
Can y'all turn the channel?
Stay tuned. And speaking of the best, coming up next, there he is, one of the greatest players in NBA history. He's got hands, too. Do not miss Magic Johnson joining us next, right here at the debate desk.
What's up?
How we doing?
Welcome, Matt.
From Lansing, Michigan, Urban Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson with the ball. And here goes Johnson. And he is fouled. Here it comes. The alley-oop. Oh, there's the pass. Michael Johnson.
Our next guest is maybe the greatest player to ever step on the court. Here's some credentials. Former #1 overall pick, 5-time NBA champion, 3-time NBA MVP, and 12-time All-Star. We welcome friend of the show, the great Magic Johnson, back with us.
Thank you.
So good to see you.
You know what people don't mention enough, by the way? Could you imagine if there was a rookie today, just won a national title, started the season at 19, at the age of 20, a point guard, jumps at center in the finals, drops 42 and wins the MVP in the
finals. There's levels
finals.
to this, Magic. You're on top.
Thank you.
You just added something else to your resume. I hear you're an advisor for the Lakers, and now Ramona Shelburne is saying that you will be a part of discussions before the trade deadline. Magic, how are you going to fix it?
Well,
no pressure.
It's going to take some time, Molly. It's going to take years because you have to first get a strategy, number one. Understand what mistakes we made in the past and own up to those mistakes. Because we got to hold people accountable. And that's what this is all about. And so if you understand the mistakes in the past, then you got to develop the young players that we have, because today's NBA is different than my NBA. And player movement is a little tougher today. So when we think about the Lakers, we made some mistakes. We made a lot of mistakes. So we can't make those mistakes moving forward. And so now I'm here with Jeannie Buss, who brought me in, and I'm trying to make sure that I give her the right advice, as well as for the first time this Monday after the All-Star break, I sit down with Jim and Mitch. So we'll see what happens.
Let me be very, very clear. I'm ecstatic that you're back involved with the Lakers, but I'm not satisfied. In my opinion, advisor is not good enough. I think you need to be making the final decision on basketball-related matters, meaning you should be the president of basketball operations. A, are you interested in that title? And B, do you have the time, considering all the benches that's involved?
Or would you pull a Phil Jackson? Would you pull a Phil when you have the time to do it right?
No, if I took on the role, and yes, I do want it, but if I took it on, I would definitely give 150%, because I have other people to run my businesses. We're at a place now, I don't have to be there, but I would have to be with the Lakers every single day, because we got to come up with a strategy that will help us get back in the next 3 to 5 years, back hopefully in really contention, and also be competitive with the Golden States, with the San Antonios, with the Houstons, all Clippers, all the good teams in the West, Memphis, on and on and on.
Magic, you talk about player movement being harder nowadays, and the Lakers are always star-driven, you and Kareem and Kobe and Shaq, and before that, Wilt and Jerry West and everything. So, but you don't have to start with a star if you have a good enough foundation that attracts stars. So my question to you is, D'Angelo Russell, Brandon Ingram, and Julius Randle were all top 7 picks at least. Randle went 7th overall, and he had a couple of 2s. Are any of those guys potential cornerstones of a franchise? Do you see any superstar potential there? Or are they just the kind of pieces that either get traded for a guy like that or make it attractive for a guy like that to play with them?
Max, they have the potential to be a star. We don't know the superstar. When you start saying superstar, that's another level. But we have to wait another year to see that. Because it's just like Steph Curry. He didn't start off being Steph Curry. He developed into this Steph Curry. And on and on and on. James Harden, you can take a number of players that started here but grew into their stardom. And
who do you have your eye on?
Well, I think Randall, if he can get his right hand, he can be a star. I think D'Angelo has star talent. So now he has to get in the gym and go to work. And then Brandon, Ingram, he's amazing because I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, but I think he's definitely going to be a star because he can do a little bit of everything. He's almost like a Scottie Pippen. Defense, he can score, block shots.
Let me tell you why I didn't bring up any of the players. None of them are worth talking about, and it's not because of their talent. Mm-hmm. You and I have vibed about this many, many times over the years. In terms of leadership and the organization and your involvement with the Lakers, the reason why I'm zeroed in on that so intimately is because I'm thinking Jeannie Buss, business. I'm thinking Jim Buss, basketball.
Right.
And what they're trying to say is that's what Daddy wanted. We know how much Daddy loved you.
Right.
So I'm wondering how fluid the transition to the Lakers is going to be for you because of the relationship between Jeannie and Jim and the dysfunctionality that has created throughout the league, at least image-wise. You got people talking about them all the time about how that's not an environment anybody wants to walk in.
Well, that's a good point. And from here on out, it has to be one message, one team, one voice, because if it doesn't come to that, the losing continues. And I can't step in between Jim and Jeannie. That's their thing. Jeannie's got to handle that.
Right.
And so I have to just do my role and do my part. Now, once we sit down, I can tell you more because Jim and I haven't sat down face to face yet. Of course, I sat down with Jeannie, but not with Jim. So you're right. And it's the truth. It's truth to that, too, what you just said. So now they have to take care of that, Stephen A. I can't get in that.
I agree, but I guess I'm asking the question, Magic, because I know that you don't waste your time.
That's
and
right.
I know that if it's listen, you walked away when you were head coach because it was a waste of your time.
That's
because
right.
These guys, their head wasn't where you needed it to be.
Good
So
point.
if you're an advisor, but they still have final say, you know that's not going to be one voice. There will only be one voice if they give you that voice. So is this meeting that's coming up with you and Jim and Jeannie and possibly Mitch, is it about you saying, I need to be the voice of the Los Angeles Lakers?
I will put that on the table, yes. So I don't know what's going to happen after that. Now, to your point, if it comes April and we're still, there's Jeannie over there and Jim over there and I'm over here, then you already know what I'm going to do.
You're going to walk away.
Exactly.
I know that.
Because I got enough things I could be doing.
Does this signal a sea change for the Lakers in the sense that you look at all the Lakers, like the human resources are really what the Lakers have going for them in their legacy. Pat Riley's down in Miami. There's the Lakers Southwest. Phil Jackson's in New York, messing it up, but still it's Phil Jackson. Right. Jerry West goes up the 5 freeway, and all of a sudden the Warriors are the dominant team in the league. He puts his body in front of Klay Thompson for Kevin Love when that wasn't such an obvious move. All of the precious human resources the Lakers are scattered about. And finally, they bring back Magic Johnson. Is this a signal of a sea change for the way the Lakers view their franchise and the human resources, that their legacy has provided?
Well, Max, let's hope so anyway. Because first of all, we got to come into the year 2020. because we're still running business back in the old days, and times have changed. So if I'm looking at it, I'm going to take a page out of, steal it from Pat Riley. I'm going to steal something from R.C. Buford, who I really respect for San Antonio.
It's great.
Some from Bob Myers and Jerry West. You know, so you take Pat, you take those guys, you take also, I think OKC drafting all those guys. They've done a wonderful job too. I take a page out of his book as well.
Sam Preston.
Yes, Sam has done an amazing job. So, you know, you steal something from everybody, but we've got to bring the franchise into the 2000s. That's been our major problem.
Let me press you on something very, very important here. Irvin Magic Johnson. That's name. That's cachet. New York thought they were getting that with Phil.
Right.
He can't even get dudes to sit down with him for dinner.
Right.
What's it going to be like for Magic Johnson if somehow, some way that Jim Buss acts like he has some damn sense and Jeannie Buss has the courage to demote her brother, okay, and leave the basketball matters to a basketball person? If Magic Johnson is the face of basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers, what's it going to be like with you as it pertains to marquee names? Because it's not just building through the draft, it's building through free agency. What would be your course of action in addressing that?
Well, first of all, agents and players want to see that you're heading in the right direction, that they can win, right? And that you can help them win, okay? And that's what it's all about, winning. What position am I going to play? Who's going to be with me? And with those other four guys, can we win? And will you put enough resources behind this organization and this team to help us win, not just now, but in the future?
But can they?
Oh,
because
yeah.
Ballmer's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He bought the team for $2 billion, didn't even blink. Lakers, you know, Jeannie and them don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's about, will you, with the money that you do have, because, see, he can't spend $1 billion. He can only do what he can do in the salary cap, on the CBA. So we're all on the same page in terms of
who's willing to pay the luxury tax, and they got a rich TV deal.
But the Lakers have always paid the tax. They've always paid more than anybody back in the day, and we will do that again, right? If we're in a position to win.
When you look around at the NBA landscape now, people were calling Porzingis a unicorn for the Knicks, but like Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak,
yes,
but like you have guys, you know, you and Larry Bird come out, especially you at the point guard, 6'8", 6'9", doing all these things. Now you have guys almost 7 feet tall who can run the point and shoot from three as like 20-year-olds and stuff. Those are the kind of guys I imagine you need one guy like that to take you to the next level. When you survey the landscape in the NBA, I don't know if you can say this now if you're an employee of the team, if it's tampering, but who are you the biggest fan of all the young up-and-coming talent, all the young up-and-coming unicorns in the NBA today?
Well, you're right. I can't say those things anymore.
You can't do it.
Exactly, because that's tampering. But I will say this. The NBA is in a good place. We have so much young and unique talent.
Can I throw?
Yes.
Yeah, one thing I want to throw at you. Bleacher Report had said, a source said Anthony Davis said he and Russell Westbrook would like to come to the Lakers down the road. Would that be a championship combination?
I can't speak to no names. But I would say this, that if Magic Johnson is in that seat, guys are going to want to come play.
No.
Because I know business. I know how to win. And I'm going to tell you something about the Lakers that's different from any other organization. You put that purple and gold on. Right now, we're third.
Yep.
Third worst.
No. Third in, when you talk about sports paraphernalia, T-shirts and all of that.
Still, right?
Can't buy a win, still third, yeah.
Still third,
that's
right?
impressive, yeah.
When you think about that brand, it's a worldwide brand, too. And so Kobe Bryant was worldwide, right?
Would you get Kobe to help?
Oh, first call I'll make if I'm in charge, Kobe Bryant. Because Kobe understands winning. He understands also these players, you know. And so I would call, what role you want, bro? If you got a day, just give me that day. I take that. Whatever time he has, I want him to come and be a part of it.
Well, first of all, I spoke to Kobe Bryant. Whatever Magic Johnson and the Lakers need, he will do that. Let's make sure we get that out the way. Yeah. He's a Laker for life. That's what Kobe is going to do. Whatever he can to help. And he likes being behind the scenes than in front of the camera. So that's the business Kobe that's coming by here. But I go to this point because you say guys are going to want to play. And by the way, Magic Johnson couldn't answer that question. I'll answer it for you.
Okay.
The Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis together is championship caliber. Everybody knows that. Now back to you. When I think about the Lakers, and I'm thinking about the role that you're going to play, the one person I do like is Luke Walton.
Yes.
You can comment about that.
That's right.
How do you feel about Luke Walton? When we talk about now, moving forward, he's the one component with the Lakers I actually really, really like.
And I think the one key addition that we can pat all of them on the back for, right?
Yes.
Jim, Mitch, because Luke is today's player's coach.
That's right.
See, he understands the offense that he needs to run. He can bring out the talent of these guys in terms of running that offense because players want to be put in a position that they can win. Luke Walton can put them in that position. And then last but not least, he's a gym rat. Luke loves to be in the gym. So he's going to work guys out. What time you want to work out? Before practice, after practice, off days. Luke will be in the gym. And so he's a winner. And so I think that I'm excited to work with him. I've already talked to him on the phone. They've been on the road for the Grammy week. You know, we're always gone for about 2 weeks, but they're back home now tonight. But I'm looking forward to working with him. And guys respect him too.
They respect him, Max, and Luke Walton's the kind of guy that he easily ingratiates himself with talent.
Yes.
But he will hold them accountable. Like when they got blown out by about 46 a few weeks ago, he was disgusted with that. That's a big deal.
I want, real quick, Magic, you here. I'm not talking about you personally, but some fans will feel when a former legend, even a Phil Jackson, former legend as a coach, takes over a team nowadays, they question the way the spread pick and roll offenses have taken over, the way the games have changed and the rules changes, etc. Will that legend want to kind of force the team into what they know best instead of what is winning today? You kind of addressed that with Luke Walton, but how would you address that to the fans?
I don't mess with the on-court stuff. That's not my role. I hold him accountable, right? What offense he wants to run, he's going to run that offense. My job is to judge him on all of that, his offense, his defense, how he interacts with the players. So I'm not going to get into that. Now, if he wants me to come down on the court and work with D'Angelo or work with our point guards or other players, that's what I'm going to do. But other than that, I stay back in the back. I'm going to do what Jerry West did for us. Jerry West, every time I had a question or I was down, I knew he was waiting for me. He pulled me up in the stands, said, "Young man, you need to work on this. You need to be doing that. You need to be doing this." Thank you, Jerry. I went down on that court and I did all those things.
This is Jerry West.
This is Jerry West.
This is Magic Johnson.
You want to try to steal him back from the Warriors?
You know I can't tamper, man.
That ain't tampering. That ain't tampering. Jerry West belongs with the Lakers. Joe Lacob and them would miss him, but he belongs. He's a Laker. Jerry West is a Laker.
Everybody that has a contract with another team, you know you can't talk about.
Magic, you think we're excited to talk about you? We are just getting started, though. More with Magic in just a bit.
I have a problem with this. I mean, give me a fighting chance. He actually went out there and practiced. James Harden's cheating already. He ain't missed. Have y'all watched him? He hasn't missed the last 10 shots. This dude might be. Go ahead. Oh, my God. We're going to try something. That might be the only shot I make, knowing me.
What happens when Stephen A. meets MVP candidate James Harden on the court? Find out in the next hour as the two catch up to talk KD beating the Warriors. And, of course, Stephen A.'s jumper. That's coming up right here on First Take. How do you think he's going to do, Magic?
Well, you know, he was known for having a jump shot in college. So I hope that he hit a few jumpers.
That damn James Harden set me up, man. He wouldn't let me practice. He wouldn't even let me take off my tie. And he said, hell with that, get behind the three-point line. I said, why are you doing this to me? He said, as much smack as you talk about everybody else, I don't want to hear nothing. Get behind the three-point line and jack it up. It was bad.
It was bad day.
It was bad day.
Well, you know, you were talking stuff about my Jay on the promo yesterday.
Yes, I was.
And so, you know what I do to you. I might not do what James do to you, but you know.
But listen,
it
man,
could be another bad
your
day.
jump shot developed as you grew, as you got older in your career.
Yeah, you're
Early
right.
on,
You're right.
you were not a jump shooter.
But
I
didn't
never-
you set the record for consecutive threes in the five?
Stop kissing up.
I'm pretty sure.
Kissing up.
Don't tell him all the stuff.
Don't throw salt
Come on
at
now,
it.
you know I know him anyway. You know me. You know I know him.
No, jump shooting was not my game.
It was not your thing. But in fairness to Magic, it wasn't MJ's either.
No.
Yeah, at
It developed
first.
at
He
first.
developed. And let me say this, too, while we're on that young man. Whoever closes the end of the season between Russ, and Harden going to win the MVP. Because
No question.
them dudes are balling so hard. And I don't know how you going to decide which one of them guys.
Let me tell you, and you tell me whether or not you disagree.
But let me just say,
Go ahead.
the triple doubles, that mean a lot to me because I know how difficult it is to get one.
Averaging.
So
It
that's,
is.
And then what James is doing and where he has his team. See, I give a vote here and I give a vote here. So now
Russell's
it's
working with less.
Yes.
Working with less.
Yes.
But I got to give credit where credit is due. And I know Max always says that James Harden is a beneficiary of D'Antoni to some degree. Yes.
No,
but James
no,
Harden was
no,
who he was before D'Antoni arrived.
Let me squash this real fast. Pat Riley came to me and said, Irvin, it's your team now. I said, did you ask Kareem that I can have this green light? Because, you know, he said, yeah. I said, okay, I got to go from 17 points now to 25 points. He says, that's what's going to help us win championships now, you scoring more. That added responsibility made me a better player and the MVP of the league. It's not his system. It was him saying, here's the ball. You're going to be the point guard now. That added responsibility of playmaking has made James Harden a better player. Same thing with Russ. KD leaves, okay, it's your team now. You have to play at a high level and get these triple doubles just for them to win.
I have a question about that, though, because you were able to do that in the context of championship teams.
Right.
Even as you added responsibility and filled up the stat line, triple doubles or what have you, it was still very much the ball was moving. It just didn't stick with you and you dribble to death, right? The ball was moving. You made all your teammates feel they could be the best versions of themselves. You trusted them. Right. Russell Westbrook's my favorite player because it's unbridled aggression. How often do you get to see that at that level? But at the same time, I wonder what someone like you, what you think about his style of play. Is he trying to do too much? Is he not doing enough of what you did by trusting his teammates and to elevate their play by helping them be the best versions of themselves?
But he is trusting them because he's still getting the assist. And they built this team, brought shooters in, Anderson in, you know, and so it was a great pickup, Ryan bringing him in. And so what they do is, one, pick and roll, 3 shooters in the corners, and play like that. That's D'Antoni's system, though. But they're winning with it. 3rd best record in the West.
Talk about Westbrook.
Westbrook.
Yes, Westbrook. I mean.
Look, I am this guy.
Amazing.
Where he has this team, you take him off that team and where would they be? He is playing at a high level. There's only been 2 guys I've seen with the type of athletic ability and the endurance.
Iverson.
Well, that's the 3rd one.
Okay.
So Allen, LeBron, and Michael Jordan. I've never seen a guy like Westbrook that plays that hard for 42, 44 minutes and at that pace.
I'm going someplace.
Ooh.
Kevin Durant left to go to the Golden State Warriors. Your reaction, remind us of what your reaction was before, when it first happened, July 4th, and where are you now as it pertains his willingness to make that move and what it left Russell Westbrook with?
Well, I didn't like it. I wanted them two to stay together because I look forward to seeing OKC every night. I was looking forward to watching them two together. Last season, season before, I tuned in. I ran home just to watch them play because they were great together. And so, and when you come that close to beating a team, you always look forward to the next year. I'm going to get you next year. Okay, I made some mistakes, just like in '84 against the Celtics. We came up short, but we want you again in '85. And sure enough, we came back in '85 and beat the Celtics. I thought if they stayed together, that would have happened.
And just so,
in Golden State.
just so you know, my issue wasn't with Kevin Durant leaving. It's him choosing to go to the team that beat him a month earlier in the Western Conference Finals after being up 3-1. Is that extra for you?
Well, I think as a competitor, you never think like that. I would never think to join the Celtics or to join the Bulls with Michael.
Pistons or anybody else.
And the Pistons with Isaiah. You know, we wanted to take it to each other. And we did that. But he's there. And this team,
special.
No question.
I tell you,
isn't that acknowledgement of LeBron though? Like Kevin Durant looks at LeBron, who's just unbelievably great. He's like you and Michael had a baby, and it was LeBron James. He does all the things that you do, and a lot of the things that both you did. How do I get over that hump with Kyrie and Kevin Love? And Durant looks around and goes, I think the only way to do it is to go to Golden State.
Well, he said he looked up and said, hey, LeBron got all these championships and I don't have any. And that's why he joined them. He wanted to win championships.
Let's stay with LeBron because I want to get your thoughts on some breaking news. So a lot of people have been saying lately that maybe the Cavs can't contend with the Warriors. Now we just heard Kevin Love's out 6 weeks. He's getting his knee scoped. How much does this hurt this Cavs team?
It hurts him a lot because, again, what he does, they don't have anybody on that team that can do it. So you have to remember the rebounds, the double figures in rebounding, and then a big man to go out to that three-point line to allow Kyrie to do his thing, to penetrate, get into the gaps, get into the seams. Also, that freight train is coming down, that being LeBron on that fast break. Now you got to make a decision. Okay, can I get off of my man that's in the corner, that being Kevin Love, or should I got to stay out here so that he won't pass it to him for the three? So LeBron is coming in dunking or laying it up. Their offense changes a lot without him. And now who's going to play the power forward position? You know, and so in 6 weeks, that's a long time because we're entering, that's playoff time almost.
One statement, one question. Statement. This proves that if they didn't flat out lie, they were fibbing significantly when they were acting like Kevin Love is here to stay. We ain't thinking about moving him, etc. Because as I reported on numerous occasions, the health of Kevin Love was a question mark. Back, knee. Don't tell me in the midst of a $113 million contract with back and knee issues, you think about keeping the dude. Stop it. So we're done with that story. Question to you. Carmelo Anthony. Some people are of the mindset he would not have been a good addition for Kevin Love, meaning swapping those guys. I say, I don't want to hear about ball hogging. Carmelo Anthony, 6'8", 240, can play with his back to the basket, can hit you from threes, mid-range game, can score off the dribble, play breakdown. He can make things happen. And more importantly, who would his teammate be? It would be LeBron. And we'd see Melo's game elevated. To that you say what?
Oh, you're right. Well, Kevin Love lost all those games in Minnesota. What happened when he got to Cleveland? He was a champion. Kyrie Irving got better with LeBron, right? That's who LeBron is. He's a special player. He's a one-in-a-lifetime player. And so he makes everybody better. And also he holds everybody accountable, much like MJ used to do, Larry Bird used to do. And that's what it's all about. So Melo would have told the line. But the one thing you love about Melo, which a lot of teams don't have, is a guy to say in the fourth quarter, there's 3 minutes left in the game, give it to me, get out the way. I don't need a pick. Just give it to me. That's what the Clippers are missing. A guy they can, because they got to run pick and roll.
Those are the top two teams on his list.
Yeah.
He wants Cleveland or the Clippers.
Well, see, Jamal got to shoot a jumper, though. That's the difference.
Can't post you up and do all these things.
Yeah. And I love Jamal. That's my man. But you can't win with just jump shots. See, everybody looks at Golden State and thinks jumping. No, they beat you both ways. They've taken it to the basket, they get their twos, and they get their threes.
And steal and block shots.
Exactly. Number one.
And even the jump shots come from, you got to get to the paint one way or another. Either you post or you dribble penetrate to the paint. But you got to get there to make it happen. You got to get there.
That's right. And they do it off of steals and blocks in their defense, right? So Carmelo is a guy you can always count on to say, okay, I'm going to get to my spot. He always gets to his spot and raise up over you or takes it and gets fouled. And some of these teams in the playoffs right now, they need a guy like that.
2 quick questions to end this. A, how do you feel? How hard should the Clippers go after Melo?
I think they should go after him. And because, look, you got one more shot with these guys because they're all free agents at the end of the season, right? So you got to say, hey, let's go all in. Let's go all in and try to get to take my chances against Golden State.
Last question. New York Knicks. You had an opportunity to run the New York Knicks. That was a job you turned down. Evidently, very, very wise decision on your part. Could you explain to us what is wrong with this franchise? Why does it seem like Phil Jackson, an 11-time champion, is suddenly inept? And what can be done to change their fortunes around?
Only thing I can see from the outside is that there's a lack of communication in private. I don't think if you should put everything out in the public before you even talk to your superstar, right? I think there's a conversation. Hey, man, do you want to be here? Or do you want to leave? And have that conversation between the two of them, not on Twitter. And now you have to remember, you can never disrespect a superstar or any player, but especially a superstar, because everybody looks up to Carmelo. Because Carmelo, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, they're all best friends. Mm-hmm. And these are dudes who run in the league. So if you disrespected him, they're going to put the word out on you. Like, man, maybe this is not the spot you should come to. See, so I don't
Phil has hurt himself. Phil has hurt the New York Knicks because of the imagery of him backstabbing his star player.
Yes, so I think they should get together. They still got a week to go. Melo, what do you really want, right? And let's see if we can make this happen. Or do you want to stay a Knick? And they need to have that conversation. Without that conversation,
got a no-trade clause, Magic, and he may not want to leave, but Phil wants him to leave. I think that's why Phil's been doing this. Phil wants him going so he can start anew without Melo.
But see, that's why you lose the battle, because you know that my man got the last say-so, and he can just say, I'm going to just sit here. Because you're disrespecting me like this?
It doesn't make any sense. You're also driving down his trade value. What is Phil Jackson doing? Yeah. He's making him less valuable, even if you want to build around Porzingis, which I think is a very good idea going forward, because their primes aren't going to overlap, really, Carmelo and Porzingis. Why would you talk down his trade value? You want to get something good for him. It doesn't make sense, Magic.
I tell you this. I love the guy because he wants to be a Knick. He loves playing in New York. It's difficult to play in New York and L.A. It's difficult to play for Boston unless you coming in and really understanding the fan base. The Celtics fan base know championship basketball. The Knicks fan base know good basketball and championship basketball. The Laker fan base know that. So when you come in those cities and playing for those franchises, you got to understand that this fan base is not going to let you have bad nights, nights off, because they understand good basketball.
I can't believe that we have to end this segment with me correcting Irvin Magic Johnson. New York Knicks fans do not know championship basketball.
Not my lifetime.
We don't know, damn it. We don't know.
But you love the game.
We love the game, but we don't know championship.
I'm going to say this about Knicks fans. All these years, they still haven't been winning, just like Laker fans. They all still show up. Mm-hmm. That is, I just want to pat them on the back. The Laker fans, same thing. They still all show up. They love their team and their town, and they want to win. If I'm Phil, I say, man, let me just build around this cat. Let me just keep him.
I got to tell y'all, Clippers games look like a high school environment compared to Laker games. It's night and day. Even now.
Big brother, little brother, even with the Clippers having more success. When Magic Johnson speaks, we listen. Unfortunately, we run out of time with you. Wish we had more time.
But let me just say, go Dodgers, go Dodgers. The season is going to start.
You guys are looking pretty good.
Good luck with the Dodgers, the Lakers, everything, Magic. Appreciate you. Come back soon.
Watch out for these two guys, you know.
Man, I still haven't been to your office in L.A.
You coming?
I know. That's what I'm saying. We got to do that. I got to come by the office.
You shoot jumpers with James and you do business with me.
Love it.
The office is courtside for the Lakers game.
Coming up, we're switching gears back to the NFL. There will be no more salsa in the Meadowlands. The Giants say goodbye to Victor Cruz, but does the receiver still have something left in the tank? Max, it's our G-Men. We get into it. And after the break, the moment you have been waiting for. Stephen A. going one-on-one with the beard. Let's go, people.
You're on TV 24/7 talking about other people's jump shots and whatnot. I want to see yours.
There is more to me, Queen Eliara of Elfgard, than my elven magic. Just as there's more to Geico than saving you money, Geico also gives you 24/7 access to licensed agents online, on phone, or on the Geico app. And while I am a mighty elf queen, I am also a mighty big fan of barbecue potato chips. Minions! More smoky mesquite.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
James Harden is having the best season of his NBA career and is the favorite, in my opinion, to take home his first league MVP. So I caught up with the Houston Rockets star in Houston to talk some basketball and show off my jump shot. Be warned, the video you are about to see may be disturbing. Your boy, Stephen A. one-on-one with James Harden. Brought to you by Body Armor.
Hard for three, got it!
Fear the beard.
His three is good. It is up, it is good! Oh, the crossover, cracked his ankles! Hard drive down, Leo dumped it! Cold as ice, James Harden. And he buried it! The icing on the cake!
It would be really bad if I tried to play him one-on-one. Man, I might be hospitalized. I mean, give me a fighting chance. He actually went out there and practiced. James Harden's cheating already. Oh, he ain't missed. Have y'all watched him? He hasn't missed the last 10 shots. I got to figure out a way to sabotage him. Okay, let's think about this. You know, he's a prolific scorer, right? Coming out of Arizona State, number 3 overall pick, 2009. We knew he was going to be all that, but we didn't know he was going to be this damn good. But now, he truly is the heir apparent to Kobe. This is one of those moments where you apologize for every critical thing you ever said. I just want to say, James Harden, that, you know, all of your years in the league, I only criticized you one time. I did. It was only one time. It was during the fight.
I remember that.
That's it.
And I looked at you crazy. I remember like it was yesterday. I looked at you crazy, and I forgot I went back in the locker room and I said something like, I hope I said something crazy. Can't say it on TV.
That's right.
I remember it.
What I said back in those finals was, this dude is going to be a superstar in this league. How is it that he don't want to shoot the ball? Because it seemed like he didn't want to shoot. That's the only thing I think anybody's ever been able to say about you. When you look back on what kind of a player you were then compared to how you are now, what do you say?
Just a lot more comfortable and just know the game more. You know, IQ is definitely has risen because of you know, taking on this team and myself and having to figure out how to get it done. And you know, whether it's different players, whether it's different coaches, or whether it's me changing and figuring out you got to be better.
When I look at you now, I see a leader. I see a team that's a title contender, obviously primarily because of you. I'm thinking about when you were in Oklahoma City and you had a shot at the crown because you were in the finals. Does that still ache you? Is that something you still think about to this day? And if so, what do you think?
100%. Just like you said, I wish I could have been more aggressive. I don't know if it was just overwhelming or whatnot, but just it's just the biggest stage, So and I wish, and I thrive every single day. I want to get back to that because I know if I had another opportunity, it'll be completely different.
How would it be different? What would you do if you were in the finals right now?
I'm in attack mode. I'm not. I know who guard me. None of that. I'm in attack mode. Right now, I feel like nobody can guard me. Nobody can stop me. So You know, if I had that mindset, it doesn't matter who we play and put me in that position. It's just going to be a different scenario.
How far do you think you can take this team?
To the finals and winning.
Even with Golden State and San Antonio in the conference?
Yeah, for sure. You know, but Golden State obviously they got four All-Stars on their team, so we're not saying it's going to be easy. Obviously, it's going to be tough.
How did you feel when Kevin Durant, your former teammate, decided to go to Golden State?
Honestly, I didn't know how to feel, man. And especially after they lost against the Warriors. I was in Arizona working out this summer. He came out there for a couple of days and hang out with me. So, we didn't talk about basketball. We just, genuine friendship. And so, once that decision made and I read it on my phone, I was in shock just like everybody else.
Are you a vocal leader?
Yeah, I'm all a leader. I'm curse you out. I'm pull you to the side, talk to you, tell you what you're doing wrong, and I won't work. I'm gonna show you that I'm a leader as well.
Was that easier for you to do in terms of becoming a leader, even more of a leader of this team? Has that been easier for you this year than it was in years past, say when a guy like Dwight Howard was in?
Yeah, 100%.
Why was it easy?
It's just two different personalities. Not to say that he's not a leader or whatnot, but just I didn't have full control of the team.
You have, 28 points a game, shoot 44% from the field, lead the league in assists with 11 and a half, averaging about 8 rebounds, damn near close to your own triple-double. Right. And you had about 14 of them this year. Do you believe that if the season were to end now, that you should be leading?
100%. And just for the reasons you said. I mean, obviously the numbers are good, but we're winning.
Obviously, your most heated competition in that regard would be somebody named Russell Westbrook, your former teammate in Oklahoma City. Do y'all talk about that? Do y'all jab each other about that?
We don't talk about it. When we play them, we played them 3 times. So I just tell them to keep going, keep going, keep doing what they think you can't do. And that's the mindset that he's had all year, and you can see it.
Before we get on out of here, you getting ready to do interviews and all that, and that's nice. But when it came to me, I had to be on the court shooting basketball. Why you have to call me out? What I do?
First of all, you got to understand me. I want to see that jump shot. You're on TV 24/7 talking about other people's jump shots and whatnot. I want to see yours. Is it 3, 2, 4?
I'm critical. So if I'm gonna do what you asked me to do, I'm gonna do what you asked me.
Hold on.
What?
Best out of 5. Yes, one more shot.
Yes.
Best out of 5 from the 3.
This is bad. No warm up. You warmed up.
I'm gonna give you some good passes too. Open 2. You gotta make one of them. Come on now. Come on. Oh my God. Close the door. Close the door. Close that door.
Hold on. Let's do that. That's a do-over.
No, that's over 3. Come on, pin down. There you go. Lock down.
This is bad.
You gonna play on our team. Game winner.
0 for 5.
Tired?
No! I'm frustrated. I haven't shot in a long time, man.
This is about to go viral.
I know.
This is very bad.
Oh, Lord.
0 for 11. Get out of here.
No practice. Oh, God.
Yeah, no. No, that's not 1 for 3. I can't explain. He's tired of a 14 jump shot.
I can't explain, man.
He didn't even do no moving.
First of all, I'm not tired. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because I haven't shot in a long time. I'm almost 50, man.
So you better get in the gym. You better find a gym.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
I don't appreciate you right now. You embarrass me.
Yeah, that's what you
But you got me. You got me.
Find the gym with the quickness. Can I just say one thing? You got some hops. And first of all, I thought this was going to be terrible. You're hitting the rim, but then what happened? Did it get in your psyche that you weren't making any, so then you went airball?
In all seriousness, he messed me up when he made me go beyond the three-point line. You see what I'm saying? You work your way out, you practice. He wouldn't allow any practice, but I have to say this. He's right. I sit up on the show every day. I don't fail to call people out, and any player that will call me out to shoot, I got to answer the challenge. I can't back up when I'm sitting there and I'm talking about you. I got to take it.
I got to tell you something.
But I never expected in my wildest dreams that a player would actually say, get out here and shoot.
Until the corner three, considering those were catch and shoots, I thought you looked pretty good. I got to play the truth.
Have you been practicing?
I swear to you, that's the first time I took a jump shot in a year. But not only that, he's saying he may make me shoot at All-Star Weekend. Yeah. I'm leaving early. I'm not subjecting myself to that.
You need to get in the gym.
Shooting is called a disposable skill. You got to practice.
I have to confess. If any player, any marquee, because I'm allergic to scrubs. Scrubs don't get to call me out. But any marquee player that called me out, if I want to talk to them to make me have to shoot baskets, I have to answer the call. I can't run. I never expected it to happen. I never thought James Harden would do that.
He'll be in New Orleans.
I never thought he would do that.
Better find the gym.
Yeah. I'll start Googling in New Orleans. We'll find some spots. Let us know. Twitter, let us know.
This weekend, I'm getting back to the gym. James Harden got me good. I deserved it.
It was good. It was a great interview, though, in all seriousness.
Yeah, he was
horrible
stuff.
It was a disappointing end to the season for the New York Giants. Understatement for Max and I, especially their wide receivers. After the squad had a yacht party that was plastered all over social media and the New York tabloids, the team suffered a crushing loss to the Packers in the playoffs. And now the team has announced that they've released former stud wide receiver Victor Cruz to clear cap space. Cruz has 39 receptions last season, the fifth fewest among the 53 NFL wide receivers to play at least 700 snaps. Max Kellerman, does Cruz have anything left?
Yeah, he's an NFL player, but he's not a number 2 receiver. He was always miscast as a number 1. He was a really good number 2. He's not that anymore. At best, he's a number 3. He's old. He has an injury history. He really can't get separation, but he's still an NFL player.
He went almost 14 months without playing before playing last season. Only 39 receptions. Clearly the third to Odell Beckham Jr. and Sterling Shepard. In the end, he's a third receiver in the NFL. I think he could be a number 2 for a few teams out there, but it wouldn't be that elite. In the end, though, going to Miami with those young boys
didn't help.
I think that hurt him. I did too.
It hurt him.
100%.
You know why? Because you're 30 years of age. You're a champion. You're a grown person.
Agree with you.
You're supposed to set the example, and he didn't do that. And I think that even though he's going to be in the league, it's going to come back.
I actually like this move. I hate to say it.
Me too. When you're a number 3 receiver, and the locker room stuff and the championship pedigree and all that stuff can tip you in one direction, but instead you wound up on a boat cruise that tips you in the other direction.
He's a good guy. But he should have sort of forest from the trees and avoided making that move. Should have had a greater influence.
You like it by the Giants?
Excuse me?
You like the move by the Giants?
They saved $7.5 million just by letting him go alone. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
You're
going to get something done in free agency this year because of moves like that.
That's right.
Coming up after the break, keeping it 100, UConn wins their 100th straight game, but I'm going to tell you what everybody is afraid to say out loud. Don't miss my final take. That's next. And we cannot wait for the crossover. Always a good time. That is going to be on Wednesday. We've got Pacers, Cavs, Iowa State, Kansas State, Duke, Virginia, Knicks, and Thunder when college basketball and the NBA switch places. First Take is on the road at the NBA All-Star Game. Catch us live in New Orleans Friday, February 17th. We're on the 4th floor of the Riverview Room located at 600 Decatur. Stephen A. will challenge all of you in a jump shooting contest. Just ask him. And plenty of people joining us. Doors open 7:30 a.m. local. Pack the house down in New Orleans.
You are so disrespectful.
He is going to fall off a cliff.
Shut the hell up.
That's not even close to my best.
They're wrong. And I don't give a damn that they agree with me or not.
100 straight wins. 100 wins. Can we just marinate on that for a second? But let's get to the crux of what really irks me. This narrative that the Huskies are ruining their sport. I refuse to accept that nonsense. I asked this question to Stephen A. and Max yesterday, and I will pose it to you now. If UConn wasn't so dominant, would you pay closer attention to women's hoops? The answer is no, more times than not. It's actually quite the opposite. Because of their dynasty, casual fans are drawn to witness the greatness that is taking this country by storm. Don't believe me? UConn's television ratings are up 17% from last year at this time and 31% from 2 years ago. Let me tell you what's really going on and what everyone is afraid to say because they don't want to come across as misogynists. The fact is, majority of sports fans don't care about women's hoops as much as men's. I understand and appreciate your hesitancy to keep that to yourself, but please stop shaming this women's team that their excellence is a deterrent for your attention when you never paid them any mind in the first place. And please stop pretending you don't like the sport because of their greatness when you're mesmerized by greatness in every other game. Case in point, the Warriors ratings went through the roof when they were on the quest for a record 73 wins. How about when Tiger was regularly winning 14 majors. Was it too much winning for you? Or maybe you couldn't bear to watch another Bill Belichick, Tom Brady Super Bowl, or Serena take another major. I know you don't want to spread the message to your daughters that society doesn't care about their game as much as their brothers. But telling your little girls that too much success will be seen as boring and society will hold it against them might be far more damaging.
If only you could see Stephen A's face.